Yes, 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 indeed. Indeed. When you were thinking upon that person, that being, and questioning why was it that you did not feel any sense of sadness, grief, anger, any emotion that was attached to that person. It just is. She just was. And this is interesting because you know that the older version of you, in terms of the denser version of you, would have really been quite impacted, or so you think you may have been. And so you sort of notice this absence of emotion around it. And while she has come into many sessions through your clients over the years, and you did have judgment once, you did have reactions and emotions about it once, there is a beautiful balance now. You can trust that the life contracts were being guided, and while they may seem to be horrific judgments of information and attitudes and control, that a human with full compassion, even half compassion and common sense, would struggle to understand and accept such a life contract and such use of free will, given the magnitude of this position of person in power, and assuming correctly that when you have one bad apple, shall you say, with judgment, often it can spread and grow into many bad apples. That collective is working through within itself. We want to say it's not always just the reptilians that have been the aggressors and the attackers. There's many, many, many collectives, many beings that have actually made them victims at one stage or another. While you don't have that history at your fingertips on this planet, you are quite rightfully aware that there is many histories of different planets, different experiences. And while you feel comfortable knowing that you're not someone who has chosen to have a impactful life contract that has got empowerment and murder and all the things that you judge as negative, while that's not your life contract, it is for others, and there is significance for it. And when you remember that it's not just your own collective here, there is many collectives here, all working together for the same experience, you can imagine when we have strong empaths, strong light bearers, shall we say, coming down to be human, to then be able to love what is human, which is basic in its level of understanding of the profound connections and capability of love. Many of you have only ever known profound senses of love, being surrounded in the most profoundest of love, always and forever, is quite a challenge for you to come into this density, let alone to work so closely and be aware of such interesting choices of free will when you are still on your own journey to know yourself in this lifetime. It is easy to cast judgment. It is easy to assume that there is a right and a wrong, a good and a bad, an angel and a devil, a monster and a saint. And you have learned quite quickly through your grand awakening that those who you thought were decent and leaders and influencers to live good lifestyle morals with, you have suddenly noticed and been privy to information to give you a new insight into truly their full life range of experiences and life contracts. We know some of you are still struggling because you love them so dearly. And we want to say to you, you can still love them. Even their free will, even their life contracts to do things that you find morally challenging. This is the lesson, the harder lesson that you, who are the advanced souls, have come down here to love all, knowing that the other collectives are needing to play and have these experiences for their own karmic experiences. You forget, say, for example, the reptilians, you assume that they don't have karma, that they don't have guides, and that they don't use their free will. And you all know they use their free will, but you may have not noticed that they are also guided, and they also have karma, and they also have life contracts. Their range of agreements that they have with their collectives and those others who are supporting and guiding them to find themselves, to know themselves, to heal themselves, to empower themselves, to be high frequency. You are here for them. And yet many of you want to only hang out and be with your like-minded starseed friends that you call yourselves. You only want to hang out with your own collectives and your own people that have the same like-mindedness. You're trying to become exclusive when you're supposed to be inclusive. We have said this to you before, but you didn't get it. You didn't assume that we could possibly ever imagine to suggest to you to love all. To love all. And while we want to say to you that all the fish in the sea, there is rankings and there is harmony and balance, but other fish do consume living beings in the sea. That is their cycle of life. And you know, you humans have also chosen to do things to use other beings for your cycles of life to nourish you, to keep you warm. You use much products of animals to adorn. We want to say, remember those souls of those trees. We want you to remember the fish you kept in bowls and aquariums. You knew you were taking them out of their way of life. And while you did appreciate them and love them, you were separating them from their own families. Did you feel like you're entitled to own something like that? To use it as an ornament when it really was a living being? We could say this about your plants. We could say this about your birds that you keep in captivity, your animals that you keep in captivity. And while some of you have masters, which you may call your cats or your dogs, you know, all souls are blessed by love of us and their collectives. All souls are trying to do the best they can with their experiences while being in the confinement of this density, while working together as a team and trying to remember to work together as a team to honor the souls. Honor the souls. You also know not to read and judge a book on its cover. And we're saying you can't truly judge another being by its cover. And we're saying if you use this analogy and think that their lives are their covers, well, then you're only getting a very surface level of who they are, their significance, how much they're valued and loved. And we want to say you're all equally loved and valued, every single being. And the challenge is to inspire each individual being to love itself as much as it is loved by all. Some find this very hard and challenging and will drive itself away from love, try to hide and escape from love as if it's too painful. And this is when they need to do their inner work, because they have confused love with pain. They have confused heartache to pain. There is much to be said here, and we always wish for you to explore your emotions, to see your reactions to events, to thoughts, to feelings, to experiences, to be able to unpack the lessons, to learn if there is a message there to remind you to forgive yourself, to forgive others, to love yourself, to love others, to not put yourself ahead or behind others, see yourself as equals. Because while you may be advanced in some stages, you may be lagging behind in others. And when you can't love all, you are lagging behind from others who can love all. And so you're all at different journeys and different paces, but you must be accountable and responsible for your own behaviors and actions. And if you're not trying to encourage people, well, we want you to ask yourself, why is that? Why can't you support and encourage people? Why can't you give love freely and celebrate people trying to empower themselves with confidence, to share their thoughts, to share their feelings, to share themselves with you as a gift, even if they are struggling and crying and challenged and triggered? This is a gift they're giving you as an opportunity to be that lighthouse leader, to love them and listen to them, be there for them. And that is it. That is all you're required to do, to be that pillar of strength, to support them with love, to remind them that they are loved. It is a hard thing for some to remember who you are, to then be able to drop judgment, drop insecurities, drop doubt. There's many things we would love for you to drop, because we know it doesn't serve you, because we're needing you to remind yourself who you are, to be able to empower yourself, to then be able to hold more commonly higher frequency vibrations. You naturally are higher frequency vibrations, but when you start worrying with just your mind and don't connect in with your heart to feel how you are thinking about, what is going on within you, you can easily drop your frequency vibrations. And so, all is well. Just remember those who are grieving for what they see was a loving woman in history, for they do not see all aspects, nor do they need to see all aspects. Their chosen choice of experience for her was to see a woman in power and to see someone who was having their own family, wanting to be a pillar for their city and for their country, and to be a pillar for nearly the last century. People feel comfortable when there is older people taking lead. You have this sort of innate trust that older beings, older people, are more wiser and have got better skill sets to be able to do the job, unless you've got ignorance and arrogance and then you judge the elderly, then you've still got inner work to do. But it is significant for many to now have a healthy way to grieve. They may have been too young to have known about the grieving process, which is a healthy process to be able to explore and feel into. And so if they've had their grandparents exit before they were really able to grasp the the fake concept of death in terms of it being a single serving life. um, this is a significant experience. So if you have done this many times and then you've gained your spiritual maturity and you accept it's just a graduation, that is wonderful. And you have already had those experiences to grieve and to think of all the questions to give you the answers about the afterlife and what happens. For many who are still holding on to grief, potentially from many other people who have died recently, and they're still not able to find solace in the life cycles. They still are searching and seeking to feel into the grief process and all of the elements. It can be very healing for you to grieve. And it might not even be for that current person who has departed. There might be many other experiences of death and ending cycles that you may want to take and use to help you with your grief process. And we are saying this is, from our perspective, a marvelous experience for most of humanity to have an open invite to be able to grieve. And then also there's more dialogue about, should it really be that such rich families can live in extreme wealth while still some of their, don't know the right word, some of their patrons, some of their citizens that are in the same country as them are not doing so well financially. In fact, they are starving. They have been starving for a long time. But this is a beautiful example of the extremities. You should be all sharing and wanting to share your wealth and abundance to everyone. There shouldn't be hoarders. It should be equal, balanced harmony where everyone is doing jobs that they love and they flourished with and supported with this. And you know that there is a disbalance between the rich and the poor, you could say. And while there is not us judging this because we know it's life contracts, we know that this is all playing out as it needs to be. This is a fantastic thing, a fantastic concept and truth for people to really question. How come these leaders say that they're so concerned about us and our environment, and yet they are holding on to a ridiculous amount of wealth? They seem to have laws that we don't have laws to. They seem to have all sorts of different privileges, and yet the people that they're supposed to be caring about the most seem to be the ones that are suffering the most. So this is a beautiful conversation to have as we see it, because it starts making people think. And when people think, they start questioning. And when people start questioning, they start seeking the answers. And when you seek the answers, you will receive the answers through either epiphanies, intuition, or if you still ignore that, if you still ignore us, we will constantly be showing you many other symbols and signs for you to take a hint and to see the information. We are showing you to show you the confirmation, and we'll keep showing you the confirmation when you keep asking us. And this is why we have said to many, be curious. Be curious with what you're wanting to ask us about, because we will be able to give you much more of your answers that you're seeking when you use your free will to ask us questions. Don't be afraid of us. Don't be shy. Use your free will wisely. Use your free will to connect in, knowing that we're here for you and we've always been here for you. We do not judge you. We love you. You could say, we will judge you if you do not use your free will to connect in with us. And we think that this is the appropriate amount of peer pressure a human would want, because that should trigger you into making sure you do use your free will to connect in. Because some of you need extra support and love and reassurance that you're doing a fantastic job. And we're proud of you. You have to understand and respect all life contracts. We know it's tempting to judge and be confused. Doesn't make it any easier when you accept a life contract. But remember, humans do things that are dreadful to other species. Humans do things that are dreadful to other humans. Yeah, there is no winners and losers. They're all experiences, and the soul does not get destroyed for it. The soul gets to learn and grow and have different experiences when you remember who you truly are, when you remember self, when you remember the advanced soul you truly are. This is just an experience that was interesting on Earth. We really keep saying that some of you take this life so seriously, and that is sometimes purposeful because you need to keep working at it, having those experiences, being triggered, feeling those feelings, and keep at it for you to have those lessons and those opportunities to grow. Some of you are struggling more than you need to, and we keep thinking to ourselves and seeing and encouraging you to remember who you are, because as soon as you have confidence of who you are, you will suddenly be able to drop all of the details of insecurities that you have on yourself. You'll drop the labels that you have on yourself that can hold you back. When you keep telling yourself you're something, and if it's not a very positive statement to say, that is not going to raise your frequency vibration. And so be patient. Be patient. Be patient, our dear soul family. We love you. We believe that you will honor yourself and honor others who are still on this beautiful, privileged life that you're on now. Because while you may feel like you've got the hard bargain of just being in the 3D, and that you're just what we used to say to you to help you remember how bigger you are, when we used to call you the toenail, we are saying that the toenail has the most hardest job, the most densest job, the most challenging job. We do not dismiss the challenges that you have, but we also know that some of those challenges you're creating for self, and this could be easier for you. It wasn't designed to be this hard, and some of you have created it harder than you need because of your limited perspectives that are not giving you the full encouragement to remember that love of self is still a priority, and then to be able to afford love to others for inspiration for them to encourage themselves to love themselves. It really is that simple. So now see if you can apply that to your thinking, to your daily approach. All is well. All is well. All is well.